Hi folks! In the last weeks I talked a lot about continuous deployments. So how to achieve it in theory, how to achieve it in practice in greenfield and legacy applications. But I was missing something, and this something is a real example. So yes, this guy told a lot of that stuff, but he hasn't shown any real example of how to do this continuous deployments. And I decided to take a look at Next.js and Vercel. For those who don't know what Vercel or Next.js is, then Next.js is some kind of a combination of React, TypeScript and Node.js. So it allows you to build entire application just using Next.js. And by entire, I mean just the backend and frontend. So you can combine both client and server side. This is a really great way to build the React app. And Vercel is a place where you can deploy your code continuously and host your application. So whenever you will be trying to access it, you will access it through Vercel. That's everything about the introduction to the topic, and let's dive in how to achieve it with creation of GitHub repository, some Next.js application, then connecting it to Vercel and seeing how will it work from the continuous deployment. However, of course, this is some kind of very simple example. So you don't have any tests, you have nothing. You just put your code into the repo and it's being deployed to Vercel. So it's not that a real life scenario. In today's episode, we will just focus on this easy version. So we have our application and it is deployed to Vercel just by connecting the repository. But for the episode which will be in the next week, we will extend it with GitHub actions and several steps to go. As you can see, I am logged into my account in GitHub. You can follow me if you would like to. This year I try to update my repositories quite regularly, so you can look at the public ones. And let's create a repository that will be for our application, so Next.js application that we would like to have. And let's call this repo deploy to Vercel. We make it public. We want README file. At the moment, we don't select any license or git ignore, so we just create the repo itself. And here we are. So what we want to do next is to clone it. So I am cloning it, and for that I am using Git Kraken. I can highly recommend this tool if you like, as me, the UI stuff for Git. Thus I am cloning this repository to the local folder. It will be called deploy to Vercel. Okay, it's successfully cloned. So let's open it, and we see that there is this initial commit for the README markdown that was added while creating the repository. Now we are ready to create the Next.js application. How to do that? There is a great documentation for Next.js on nextjs.org page, and it says that you need this Node.js 14.6.0 or newer, and all the major operating systems are supported. Great news for us. And here we just take this npx create next app at latest. Let's open Visual Studio and let's go to our folder. Here we are, and now I will open the terminal, and here we will put this npx create next.js app. It will ask several questions. So how we want to name it? Let's name it the same way as the repo is called, so deploy to Vercel. We want to use TypeScript here and ESLint. We don't want the source directory. So default settings as you see, no alias for that, and we have our Next.js app created. And after it's created, we can run npm install to make sure that all the stuff is installed here. Of course, we need to go to the folder with this application, because now we are at the part of the folder from the repository. So we want to go to this folder, now run this npm install, and after that we would like to run the application itself. And as you can see, it says that it's available at the URL localhost 3000. So let's check it if it is really there. And voila, you can see that we have entire application of Next.js, and this will be the application that we will be operating with today. I don't want to change anything because it's not a part of this video. So when we have the application already here, we can go to the Vercel. And Vercel, as mentioned before, is the place where you can deploy your application. You can preview it as well and then deploy it live and access it from the Vercel. After you create your account, I have it already. You are able to log into that. I will use my GitHub account. And you can see I have already some application here in Vercel, and we want to create a completely new one. So we would like to see this thing from localhost in the Vercel, and there is nothing easier than that. So this is really extremely easy. You want to create a new project. So let's create it here. Here, as you can see, I see just one repository that I gave this Vercel application rights to, and I would like to add another one. So you can type it here. So it will tell you that, hey, no results found. So let's go to this configuration, and here in the configuration itself, we can just go here to the bottom and say that we want to allow some other repositories that we have. And I want to allow this deploy to Vercel. I found it on the list. I saved it. I go back and I can see it already on the list. So I say import, and we can here say that we want some net preset for our framework. And this is very important that before you go here, I forgot about that, before you go here, just try to push your changes that you have here to the GitHub repository. So we just want to do it that way, that we say here fit add scaffolding for Next.js application. That's it. And we stage all these changes that we have here, and we commit these changes. Okay, so now we have committed it. I push it. It was pushed, great. So we can go back here, and now I can see, or I should see already, that it will take care about the Next.js app. It will see that it is Next.js. However, it can't see it right now, so probably we will need to wait a second. Maybe it's because it cannot see it from the main view. That's why it is not seeing this part that it's a Vercel app. Anyway, we just say we want a preset here in Next.js, and we want to have this repo, this root directory, and as you can see, it already sees it that it's this Next.js repository. That's great. And after that, we can of course set some environment variables if we have any, and we can set some build and output settings, but at the moment we don't want anything like that. We just hit deploy, and it's being deployed. So as you can see, this deployment started. It will take a while. Our application was already deployed, and that's great. So we have our application already here, and we can go, this is production deployment, and we can go here and here, and this is our application. You see, deploy to Vercel, RHO Vercel app. That's great. We can already see that it works. So now let's change something, and we will observe how does it behave from the perspective of deployment. If we do some change in the application. Let's get back to Visual Studio, and here we will just go to our pages and to our home page, and instead of create next app, we will say welcome to our app. Now when we have it, we need to commit and push it. Change title to ours, and let's push it. Great, it was pushed. And let's get back to our Vercel. And after we made our changes, we can see that it is there already. So it takes some time for updating it, but as you can see, it's here. And if you now go back to the dashboard of this one, you will see that there is a deployment that was done in the beginning. So this was the one. And then we have another deployment, which is within our changes. So as you see, it takes some time. It's not immediate, but it is fully automated. And this is where the dashboard where you can see all the details. And on every single change, you will see here changes on this list as well, that something was deployed or not. If there was some error, you will see it as well. And of course, the old version of application will be visible. And as you can see here, we have our title, welcome to our app. That's it for today. If you liked it, just put a comment. Tell what do you think about this Vercel, if you work with Next.js application on a daily basis, and if you are still interested in watching how to do this continuous deployments with Next.js, Vercel and GitHub Actions, then I invite you to watch the episode which will be released in the next week. Thanks a lot, wish you a great weekend and see you in a week.